All right. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Back with another one. Back with another one. This is the daily Hump Dump, the 30th edition. And boy, oh boy, we got a series to run, huh? Let me tell you something about these playoffs, man. They're crazy as hell. Um, Nick fans are tripping about the loss last night. I'll talk a little bit about that. Talk about a little bit. Somebody's birthday today. I done told somebody happy birthday on X. You know, she's one of my favorite entertainers, but I ain't gonna mention her name. But salute to her out there. You know how that goes. I mean, if she's listening, if she's in the background, you know how that goes. You know how that goes. DHD series, yes sir. Let's see what's going on here with your boy. hmm Yeah, everything looks good. Got that checked out. All right, it's going on, man. Like these playoffs, man, they're impressive. Like I watched every playoff game from April to this month, and now the finals is coming real soon. But I think it starts June 5th. Okay, the first round told me a lot about some key things, and I said the last time I talked about it on the street, I said Cleveland was going to get eliminated. They're just too ball centric, and what I learned about Cleveland, it just goes to show you that Cleveland just too ball centric. And I knew the Pacers was gonna beat the Bucks because Dame and injury, they're just a depleted team. And Cleveland's gonna sweep Miami. That play in kind of just whack. But Boston was injury prone too because they were number 2 seed, and there was something wrong with Jalen Brown's knee and stuff. And I thought that was interesting. But the Knicks, I thought they was gonna lose the first round. But me personally, they stuck it out. They're a tough grit team, but their roster is, to me, is mediocre. I mean, they have some good players. Anunoby is good, but once you get away from draft picks for Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns, that's a bad trade. They actually lost that trade. Now, if you look at them in the conference finals with their rival, just lost to them in Game 7. I talked about this, I think, weeks ago about it, and man, I knew this was going to be something. Now, the Celtics, not surprised they was hurt, and then when Tatum had that Achilles injury, man, it's ball game. It's curtains. What's going on, APTV? Salute. It's just curtains, man. Like I look at these playoffs. The sign of these playoffs and me in the first round, I look at small market teams is running it. They've been running for the last couple of 5 or 10 years. But it is what it is, man. Like I'm not shocked by OKC beating Memphis. They're firing the coach. Same thing with Denver. Denver was depleted. Denver shouldn't have won that series. Me personally, I had the Clippers win. The Clippers would have beat the Thunder. I don't care what nobody say. Just because they look good, they lucky they didn't face the Clippers. No, OKC's not good. Just because they got Hardenstein, all that, they have good depth. Don't get me wrong, but depth doesn't win championships. It's how they can handle when the whistle, the refs ain't gonna call every foul. If you notice, if they let them play physical, it's gonna play right into Indiana's hands, even though they match their speed with them too. See, Tom Thibodeau, or most people call him Thibodeau, right? It's bad with his rotation. He's got that old style coaching. I can see that with OKC too. But everybody try to say, is SGA ball centric? Absolutely. At times he is, and sometimes they don't run offense. But no, when he gets the ball in his hands, he's going to score. Period. And I think they're a good team that can match anybody. But I think when I look at these playoffs, man, like from top to bottom, yeah, they're a complete team. They're a complete young team. They haven't won nothing yet. That's why I don't really say it prematurely, because now they got to play Minnesota tonight. If Minnesota loses tonight, it's over. You already know. But there's a possibility now. I think Matt Don Russo said the old Celtics, and I think he said the old Houston Rockets, and I think one of the, yeah, we know LeBron came out there. They were the home team, but I'm talking about the road team that come back from 3-1, and I think that's only done twice. So old Celtics have done it, and I believe Houston has done it. He's right about that. I think he's talking about 1995. But there'll be a third team. One of the two teams, what you see, okay, New York Knicks is a home team. They weren't able to do it. But Minnesota's a road team. If they do the unthinkable, it's possible because it has been done before. It's possible. Yeah, LeBron's a great example of history. You're talking about history and the home team. We're talking about a road team that's come back, and they were the opposing side. They were really the 6th seed, and this home team won 2 of their games. If they still won them games and go back to Minnesota, yeah, it may go 7 to OKC, and it's going to be very difficult for them to come back. Because me personally, I think it's over already. But we got to see how Ant plays. I'll tell y'all about it the week after Wednesday, of next month or whatever. But I'm just saying, this is going to be very, very, very interesting for him. See, they're a young team too. They can match that. But the Knicks, man, like these fans were premature. Shouts out to people in New York, though. Salute to y'all. But I know y'all love your Knicks because them Knicks, man, I don't see it. They don't have no depth. All them picks. And I've watched the Knicks for years and years. I'm not a big Knicks fan, but I always like their players. But them 90s Knicks was something else. But if you look at their history, like even if you're a Nick Pierce or a Nick um, fanatic or supporter, they've always disappointed. Even Cam May said they're a disappointment. See, they know. New York people know if their teams are disappointed. I try to tell you, it's a New York Yankee town. It's always going to be the Yankees. The Mets will be, and everybody else is on the bottom. You know what I mean? But the basketball wise, yeah, it's still a Nick town. I get it, but they got to understand Madison Square Garden's the mecca of everything. So I'm not disputing that. It's just a shame that the Pacers going to have to put them out this coming up tomorrow. And Halliburton is done. I think that game one shot ruined him. He did the choke prematurely. Um, and they still won the game. And I just watched the Nick podcast, I think after the game around 11 something. And I think it's a YouTube channel like the Nick something film room. Like them guys are depressed. Them white fans, that's New York Knicks fans. That's a true definition of a Knicks fan. That's who they are. You know what I'm saying? But if you watch the movie Eddie, that's who they are, personality. I think all New Yorkers are not like that. But if you're a Knicks fan like that, I understand. Now, I understand the pain. And I'm not a big New York Knicks guy. Don't get me wrong. No, they had some good players time for time. They're fun to watch. But when it comes to championships, it's always something. And what's his name? Rich Eisen. He was hurt. He's a diehard Knicks fan too. And he was hurt by game one. He said, just win the game and you blew it. And they knew ahead of time they were gonna lose the series. Karl-Anthony Towns had a great game 3. Not lying. Excellent. Right? But he's so injury prone. That's why I don't trust Cat. Cat will always get in foul trouble, making silly fouls. And sometimes it's a combination of the GM and the coach's fault. The owner is the biggest problem. Nobody wants to play there, and I understand that. But once you start being ball centered with Jalen Brunson, all that damn flopping, I know he's a clutch player. And shouts out to the Brunsons. Jalen's a good player, great player, but it's not enough. His style is just a small guard can't win a championship. Now, Allen Iverson did it. He came close, but it's tough for him. You know what I mean? If the Knicks want to beat somebody that convincingly and get physical with, you got to be OKC. But OKC will probably win the game, probably win a championship. It's easy to beat New York. But me personally, I got the Pacers to compete with them. It's going to be interesting in the finals. I'm not going to say much because I got to watch both of them. Me personally, I think the Pacers have the experience advantage. OKC, not so much. They haven't been there. The bright lights is going to be too big, and they're going to have to play what they have. It's not like they're not beating the Pacers in 7 games. It's going to take a lot. They got the talent to, and it's going to be very. I think the key of this game is who's going to make a mistake. OKC had a lot of mistakes in the semi-series, and Denver exposed them. Minnesota did too in game 3, but I think they don't have what Denver has, and that's what's hurt Minnesota. But it's up to Ant and all the other players to step up. So, yeah, shooting threes is good, but that don't help you win a championship. Trust me, winning a championship is not easy. You got to learn to play half court. You have to learn to be disciplined, not foul so much. Refs ain't going to call a lot of fouls. It's been physical all the way through. I would say it all started in semifinals. Now, first round, it wasn't physical. The only physical game I saw in the first round was probably Golden State and Houston. That was physical. The Celtics and the Magic was physical, and Pistons and New York was very physical. That's it. That's only those physical games. The Lakers and Minnesota was not physical. They were semi-physical. Minnesota was physical. The Lakers didn't have no physicality. That's why it looked the way it did. Same with the first round with the OKC Thunder and the Grizzlies. It looked finesse as hell. But the only physical games in the West you can say is Denver and the Clippers from LA, right? And probably Houston and Golden State. That's it. Everybody else, not so much. It's only the Knicks and Pistons, Celtics and I believe Magic. But then the Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks wasn't a physical game, but that Halliburton incident with his father, yeah, that's what triggered him. But that next round, yeah, it got physical. Cleveland didn't want to play ball. They just waited the white flag, and Garland didn't even want to play. They out of there. Indiana did them dirty. Lost game 3 curse and still won. And now it's happening with the Knicks. Now the Knicks had some luck. They had Pistons, inexperienced team. They're missing Jaden Ivey. I've been watching Pistons all year. I'm a big Pistons guy. But the Celtics got lucky beating the Magic, but they wasn't ready for New York's their scrappiness, and they took the games and they wanted to win so bad. But now the Knicks win these conference finals. It's just crazy. Yeah, Indiana. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's yeah. Yeah, they was gonna lose, man. Like, yeah, the Lakers are done, bro. Like once you have JJ Redick, and when I said when I was watching Ticket, man, like he's right. But what Lakers lack, LeBron is killing y'all. Luka Doncic is good, but he's more like James Harden. But if you look at them and the Clippers based off matchup wise, they're the same team. The only difference is I think Clippers got Norman Powell and Zubac. They have some guys that are consistent. The Lakers is just they don't know what they want to be. They had no business being the third seed. That should have been Minnesota, me personally. It should have been anybody. But when you look at these playoffs, what I've noticed, Minnesota did get lucky against the Warriors because they were depleted, and Steph Curry's hamstring, that's a different story. The Warriors would have beat OKC with those threes, and they would have stopped Chet Holmgren. They had bodies too, but they need a Giannis. I don't see OKC going further next year. This year, this is their year to win it and stay in it. But if they don't win against Indiana, I can't take them serious next year because SGA is a good MVP, and he may not win it again. Because knowing Jokic and these moves, you ain't gonna see OKC beating them, but that will never happen again, ever. Because in the NBA, it's like they're gonna figure you out and then you get exposed. They'll end up like Denver at best, and then be a parody like you see in the '70s in the history of basketball. Because the way the money is good right now, players getting paid, everybody's getting paid. It's not what you think. Indiana's a good team completely. They've been in here last year. They didn't win against the conference finals, but this year they done it. This is their year. This is their destiny. I'm not saying they're gonna win the whole thing either. It could be OKC, but I don't see OKC winning all those games like that. It's gonna be. I gotta see how the officiating is gonna be. If Scott Foster is gonna be there, he's gonna dictate who's gonna get the championship. Because Siakam has won one championship and was a starter amongst Kawhi Leonard. He is a factor. They can't cover him. Me and my father was debating about it. I said, "Nah, they ain't cutting Siakam. Yeah, they try to say he moves up, but he's got the old style. But you're not gonna stop his post fades or getting to the cup. No." Because Indiana knows how to play that. If Siakam gets going, they win the game. They win the series. I just don't see anybody stopping him. Halliburton's going to be serious because it's a championship, but Siakam's going to prepare him for that. He's the only guy to keep that locker room flourishing. And Bryant, they done been there. But the coach, Carlisle, has won one in 2011 with Dirk. This is a different team. This Pacer team is impressive. If they win, and do something historic. They already won what 3 ABA championships in a different league. I count those two. That's a 3 league championships technically, even though they ain't got one in the NBA. The Larry O'Brien, but if they get this one, that'll be their first in the NBA, but 4 in league team history. Amazing, ain't it? That's just it's just something else. Now OKC be their championship. I think they won one. They were Seattle in '79, which is interesting, and now first championship in OKC. Interesting. It's going to be very interesting. That is a great finals. Life says speed versus speed, but here's the thing. Where's the time of speed? Think about it. Places pay with time. OKC don't. They got transitional defense, but they don't have no half court defense. Only team that has that is the Pacers, I believe the Celtics, and that's it. The Knicks, not so much because they don't play defense on the front court. Back court, they do. Front court, not so much. And you see that with Anthony Towns. He's a bad defender. Yes, he's always been a bad defender since he got in the league. He's an offensive guy. Look at his college career. That's his game. And I didn't know he was half Dominican. I didn't know that. I didn't know he's half Dominican. I thought he was just a nigga that's light skinned and mixed. I thought he was a mulatto or something, or a mixed person, or he's just light skinned or what. But I didn't know he was a Latino. I didn't know he was part Latino, Dominican. Yeah, so technically he's black, but it don't really matter. But they're Caribbean anyway. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I always thought he had a white mom, but no, she was Latino. Okay, it makes sense now. But hey, it makes sense. That's why they call him Carl Anthony Towns. Okay, okay. What's going on, Khalil? But yeah, I've been watching the playoffs, man. Been chilling. I know DJ Scooter or the scuba diver, or should I say the prophet, getting beat up by APTV. Man, it's hilarious. And yeah, man, like these semi podcasts, man, they everybody be on bullshit talking about hoes all day, and that's what these dudes are. They're losers. They ain't got nothing else to talk about but the ass. That's all they giving you. But remember, a lot of people are broken out here. It's a lot of broken people in this society, and I'm just saying it for what it is. And people are just broken. But you can't get mad what's going on. Like the playoffs are very very interesting. I really we're seeing something that's in present. I think the league is okay with that, and they're setting the standard. And I think somebody's got to be champion. So a big market team in the West. I think the West is being promoted as a big market. So I think Dallas will compete against Indiana. There's a possibility that would be an NBA Finals in the future. I don't know if Indiana wins. They don't want OKC to win. To be honest with you, I think the league don't even want them to win at all. I think they're a good team, but they want them in the Knicks. If OKC somehow loses these next two games against Minnesota, it's going to be very interesting because they struggled in Game 7, but found their way. They're a good defensive team on paper. They're good when you see them live or you go to the games live. They're a good team. I just don't see them as a threat to the All NBA. That's a big reach. No, they have some weaknesses. They are good, but they're nothing special about them. It's just like they have some weakness in their game. They're a young team and they coming a long way. You can't pick up a team that ain't worth a damn. Like they haven't played and won a championship before. The inexperience is real. I've always said it's always going to be real. No matter what you say, it always going to show in the playoffs. They can be beat by any team. Do not underestimate a team that's won one before. You have players like Siakam won before. And that's what my dad don't understand. No, Siakam is good. Y'all just mad because he won one with Kawhi. That's what that is. They don't want to count that. And that's what people forget. He understands how to win. So Siakam's going to be on his best behavior trying to help him win. And Carlisle running that system. That system works. Y'all can say what y'all want about Siakam, but he's the reason why that team is flourishing. Y'all got to understand, Siakam's not the one by himself. Hell, he's got pieces. Yeah, if my dad says 7 guys, I disagree. It's 10 guys equal. If you really think about it, that's the team that Siakam is on. Yeah, you can say other guys is better. Yeah, the OKC got a better pieces there is. I agree. But what I disagree with them on is no, they're not a better team as champions. They're not championship ready. They look like they're championship ready, but are they championship ready for the next step? No, they cannot get past the fact that there's gonna be calls that they ain't always gonna get. SGA's got to work double hard to get what he wants. See, when you're playing a guy like that and you're ball centric, I think SGA's got to learn when you're super ball centric, that hurts you a lot. You cannot be ball centric and claim that he's the best. He's an MVP right now. He's a great MVP for this season. I just don't see him like his team winning a championship. Me personally, I like OKC Thunder. I like their chances. They can beat the pace. They can beat anybody, but can they sustain that without flopping and all the other stuff? See, what I hate about these games, a lot of these players, when they issue challenges, that will hurt on both teams. It hurts everybody. Like, how can you call a challenge in the first half and then you ain't got no challenges? Because if you look at the Knicks and Pacers, they're pretty close. OKC ain't gonna able to blow this team out. No, the Pacers gonna keep up with them because they're gonna win regardless, and they're gonna cut to the basket. They're not gonna stop Siakam and them guys. They got 4 guys score. That's gonna be hard for OKC. They know how to do that, but not like that. No, because they couldn't even stop Murray half of the time. See, Murray and Jokic have the personnel, but the problem is they ain't no bench. Indiana's a better team than Denver, and I'll tell you why. They're very similar. I'm trying to tell you, the Nuggets and the Pacers are very similar, but the Pacers are more better suited to stop Chet. Chet turns the ball over too. He's a good dribbler. He ain't the best dribbler. When he goes fast, he loses the ball, and that ain't gonna happen. against Indiana because they're gonna deflect out his hand. He ain't gonna be able to stop him. So yeah, it's gonna be a great series. But I'm just gonna see who's gonna strike first. Me personally, I think it's gonna be Indiana. I don't see OKC striking first because OKC's got the advantage. They got everything. They got you name it, but they're beatable. That's proven by Denver. They exploit that weakness, and Indiana's probably got some tape on them from all them series. You already know they're scouting. They're scouting the Knicks before the season started when they beat Cleveland. They know the Knicks ain't all that. Now they're gonna do the same thing with OKC, even though they're gonna beat Knicks in this game 5 probably, and I'm gonna watch it. If they don't, that's fine. They ended at 6. But me personally, I'm gonna say Pacers in 5 because this is over. Like Cat is banged up. Thibodeau, Fibs or how you want to pronounce it, Tibbs, or people call him, but he prefers to be called the other way. But man, it's just I don't see him coming back, man. It's impossible, especially the team had all the advantages. Let's call him TC Killer. Salute. It is so crazy when you look at a team that you expect them to win, right? But you gotta understand they know what's at stake. But if you're playing for a championship, especially a conference championship, it, Cat has never been on this level. He has been on a level, but not like that. He needs to go these several times with this team, and they need a missing piece. OG Anunoby is not the answer. He's a good player, but he didn't play most of them finals. Believe it or not, it was really Siakam and Kawhi, Van Fleet. Yeah, they got everybody, but Siakam was the difference in those games. People forget Pascal Siakam was cold in Toronto. They forget about that. But when he went to the Pacers, that's a different team, bro. Like he upgraded that team for what it was. I knew the Pacers were good, but once they got Siakam, it was over. I didn't think the Pacers was this good, but Miles Turner's been on that team for years. I tell you, Indiana's a good team. Good team. And I watched their development years ago, even though when Reggie was the guy and then he left. Indiana's one of them places that it's not likable, but they always compete against the Bulls, the Pistons, the Bucks every year. And there's only 3 teams like that. And in Cleveland, excuse me, it's only 14, excuse me. It's only 5 teams in that division. You got Chicago, Detroit, Indiana, Cleveland, and Milwaukee. We already know Indiana's one of them. And it's just they play them every night. And then the other ones in the Atlantic division, you already know. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But it's crazy to see what's happening right now in these games. But I learn a lot from people. It's already over, man. It's crazy. But I realize that these things happen. But that's the thing I talk about a lot. But relationship content is pretty cool. But I just saw Soluminati going against this girl, the streaming. Y'all heard Castanet, right? I'm gonna break him down. The streaming university bullshit from Twitch, right? And this plug channel D Green break it down. I've been seeing this stuff since 2017 when I wasn't really doing content. These niggas took over the internet 2015. But this basketball player, right? Upstart guy, C plus player, but he was popular in the school, #1 in the country. Um, Soul Illuminati is known for his 2K references. I didn't start subscribing to him 2017 when he was like 350,000 subscribers. This dude was incredible back then. You know, he was funny, hilarious, and he always joking on people. And his homeboy shooter, like that shit was wild in that era, especially in 2018. That was a wild era. I was like in my late 20s, going on 30s, right? That was a great period. That was a great period of YouTube and that type of content. I was in that world, not in this so-called fake red pill spaces, but the real red pill space. We just did the work back in the day. It was a little different how we moved, different how we moved efficiently. What it was, but when I look at the situation with him and that old girl, and what he say, she'll bite a nigga dick. He said Zoe the dick eater, and I was like, that boy crazy as hell, crazy as hell. And then she responded, um, crazy on the phone, and didn't realize that that man, his fans are trolls. You know how to hack your shit and go crazy. And that's why I try to tell him stand down. But she's hilarious though. She said, "Why you all men defending this man?" And I think she's from NY. They try to say they masculine. Well, that's not an NY thing. Hell, you got masculine females all over the place. Florida, Louisiana, Tennessee. Way worse than Zoe. Zoe's just a goofy. That's why I even like Zoe like that. She's a goofy. She's crying on stream, and that's how they get you. Whining on stream, crying and whining on stream, and that's how they got her. They broke her. So she tried to be successful in streaming university, man. That's just crazy. Bunch of weirdo kids, by the way, and they're popular and they're popping right now. So yeah, man. Everybody loves a good story, you know, streaming stories and all that. But she toned down and she apologized and whatever. It's just crazy. They weird on the streaming shit. I think streamers are weird in general. It's not wrong podcasting and live streaming is cool, but when you call yourself a streamer and they claim they love video games and stuff, I just don't believe you. Y'all just frauds, man. Y'all just doing it for the cameras. The cameras be on bullshit and they be crying, be like, man, they doing it this way, they doing it that way. And then they be whining and shit. I'm so sick of that shit. It's not even funny, bro. Like most of these people are losers, man. They talk a whole lot of game on these streams, but then not nothing to show for it in society. They just want to be a nuisance. And then you wonder why people don't like them no more. It's just like, bruh, this is not it. It's not it. And they wonder why people just don't want to communicate and just do their thing. I see Sexy Red trying to be a freak on this internet shit. I saw it. I'm talking about the one in these spaces, the TV, trying to look all sexy and shit, and got these dudes in a whirlwind. What is she? 40? 41, 40? I think she's like what 41 now. She just had her birthday. What? She's 41. Last time she turned 40 was what on the 2 years ago. Because she turned 40 in what 2023. Oh, she's 42. She's 42 years old. Well, shit. Still doing less content. I mean, she cooked DJ the scuba diver, bruh. And she was almost in her 40s at the time in 2021. She was like in the late 30s. So that's saying something. You know, I'm not saying I'm attracted to her or anything. She all right. But I'm just saying, like, man, you dropped the ball. I started saying, you dropped the ball. I know exactly who he's talking about. He dropped everybody the ball. So it goes there. He did that a lot of times on streams too. Y'all remember 4 years ago. It's gonna be 5 years next year in 2021. But that goes to show you who he is, man. Everybody's saying he's a fraud. I'm not saying he's a fraud, but I'm just saying he's a fraud based off his persona as that player shit. And I think that hurt him and set him back. And Ice Storm had to chin check and regulate his shit. It is what it is. So it's no need to talk and argue with fools on the internet, especially the ones I don't fuck with no more. Like, you know, I mess with their content time to time, but I don't mess with them entirely. I don't promote this shit like I should, but it's no need. They came on my platform. I came on his. So it is what it is. I'm not trying to say anybody's weak on here, but I'm just saying like dudes be getting this ego boost and forget about the internet stuff. And it can be very dangerous sometimes, but some people just need to know their place and just move on. And that's the thing about people, you just look at it for what it is. Like I look at things from that angle. But you know how it goes. You know how these idiots do. Like, oh, I'm just trying to tell a story. I'm trying to be the best thing in the world. You know, but the internet is just crazy, man. Like that's just some bullshit after bullshit, and people got to deal with all the time. So it's a lot going on. Yeah, May 28th. May's got what 31 days, and it's for real, man. Like I'm enjoying this month. Memorial Day weekend. I don't really celebrate that shit. Salute to the soldiers that are really about the life. That's on you. That's y'all's profession. You're supposed to do that, and I'm not really tripping off of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a veteran. I don't care. I had grandparents that were World War II veterans. That's a whole nother story on that. Not gonna shit on nobody. I mean, hey, do for your service. Like I said, thank for your service. I said thank for your time and service. But I think them protect themselves as well. That's a whole nother story on that topic. I'm not gonna get in bad all the military, this and that. I ain't gonna the military ain't perfect. Yeah, she exposed him. She did. She exposed him a couple of years back after when we left his ass in 2022. And she been exposed him. But at the time, she'd been knowing about them. She was playing him. She was playing his face that whole 2021 year, and then how I got my USB mic. I didn't get that from him. I did my own research, how to get used to this live streaming thing, and that was the whole point. Once I had that microphone, I was set for time being, for life. I did everything, and yes, I had a condenser mic at the time. It was USB. It was cool. It was a cool thing, and that's the best way to talk to. And then when you start talking and get loud, and then know how to knew the voices and all that stuff. I used to be a USB head with the microphones that was standing, and they said they break early. So of course they do. When you live stream, that's it. But once you have a interface and mixers and shit like that playing with gear, that's a whole nother story. Now you get to talk and be on the microphone and say, hey, you don't have to worry, they last long, and they could be replaced anytime. So my stuff works. So I'm saying it works in time. So I still got the same stuff. I'm stuck with one box right here. But if I had two, the big thing I won't see. And since we talk about audio interfaces, I'm gonna say what's compatible for this computer. Let's say this computer. Class compliant, meaning they can work with most modern computers without requiring special drivers. Okay. You got the Scarlet. Oh, it's $87. Okay, it's cheap. You have Focusrite. You got the Behringer UM2. You got the PreSonus. Yeah, you got a lot. PreSonus and all that stuff. Yeah. Focusrite. I want to look at that. I might look at that in July. I might get me one in July. Okay, that's that. Okay, the PreSonus USB-C, Studio 4. Yeah, the PreSonus is compatible with these types. Okay, I might have to invest in that. And they got what? The charge, the C class. Okay, they got all types of charges. Okay. Mac and PC. PreSonus. I'm not big on PreSonus. I got a PreSonus audio box. I got that. Very, yeah, desktop 3.0 compatible. Yeah, computer connectivity. Yeah, Magic plugin. It's like plug and play effects. Okay. Windows. It does Chrome OS limited features. Yeah, Chrome OS. Yeah, it's good on Chrome OS. I can get this. It's a big box. It's very compatible. Yeah, that's another one. I'm not investing into it, but it's a C. That's PreSonus. Look at a lot of stuff they got. They got the Focusrite. Might have to get the focus right. I might do that. Yeah, it's guitar, so I ain't want to do that. I don't want the UM2. I got the one. The one Behringer I had wore out because it got the chords and shit. So I need a C type. That's them cheap ones. See. Yeah. Let's see something real quick. I need audio headphones. I need wireless. I need audio headphones. Let's see. I need some real ones. You can hear me. They're expensive. I got the. I might need some new headphones out of here. They got the Sennheiser. Okay, I need some of those. I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna keep these for now. And then my next upgrade is, yeah, yeah. But the interface is, yeah. This is something. I'm talking a little gear talk. Don't mind me. Okay, you got microphones and all that. Okay, live sound lighting. Everybody talk about, oh, I need lighting. I need all that. And, like those big YouTubers say, we need lighting. Lighting's somewhat important, but really it's not. I mean, lighting don't mean shit. As long as you speak well and learn how to care for yourself, you'll be all right. USB audio interface. This is what I want. Yeah, because mine's USB based. Okay, so we got here. So we got the Mo2. I can't use Mo2. Not with this computer, I don't think. And this is very interesting because I don't know if it's Chrome reliant. It deals with Windows and all that. I don't know because I got Chrome. I got Chrome OS. It's got Ableton and all that. See, that's why I was looking at for my computer. I can't just get any interface. You know what I mean? Especially I use Chrome. If I didn't use Chrome, I'd buy any audio interface. It's hard to get it. It'd be easy. It's easy for most people, but me, it's not. I have to really Focusrite is probably the one that's they're telling me for this computer. 4th gen. You got the background 140. Yeah, the Focusrite. I think I may get that. I may get that. It's my next upgrade up. Let me see. 4th gen. Focusrite can handle anything probably. Phantom Power, yes, desktop 2.0. And it does well with Chrome OS. Okay. Yeah, I might have to get a Focusrite. That's the one I'm gonna get. I might get the 4th gen. And what's this right here? Okay. I'm gonna have to get this. If I save up, not this next month, but the next month after, I'm gonna get that. That's the only one I'm gonna get. If I get this, it's a wrap. I want to see if it's gonna be on sale or whatever. But I gotta see. I gotta see. If I have enough money left over next month, I will definitely get this. This is the only one I'm gonna get, and this one is gonna put me on top. If I'm, you know. But that's something I'm gonna get. My audio is gonna be good. I'm gonna finally have one. This is my backup. I'm usually using that. Okay, so Focusrite, 4th gen, third. Yeah, it looks like I need a 4th gen. Yeah, I need something strong and yeah, need an audio interface. So it's good to me we're talking. So sound good. I got the audio box. I got PreSonus. It's good with this too. I'm trying to see what's good for Chrome. So Focusrite, PreSonus. I know Behringer is good. The old one is too, but that one's outdated. I gotta see though. It's a lot going on. But yeah, dude likes to talk about gear. It's not necessary. If you want to live stream, you want to do a podcast, get less gear, reasonable. You can get gear for what $149. I can tell you go to Sweetwater, go to Guitar Center, or go to B&H. with the Edomites, they be hooking you up. I got hooked up by them with several microphones. I got a lot of microphones, and I know how to use them. And I use them for other things and content, talk about different things like that. Sometimes that's just me. That's what I prefer. But I did the headphone thing, talking loud. That's great. It's cool. But when you're talking to people, but when you have an audio interface and a microphone, man, it's awesome. It's like, see, most streamers and most podcasts and most people that do YouTube that do this stuff, they use gear. Sometimes gear is good. It ain't about the background in your house. Is you're saying something. Yeah, you can use the advertising. I can show my face and wave and do all that. I can do that. That's nothing. I still got some of my stuff. I just got to use it a lot. You know what I mean? It's just a very difficult time to, but if I really want to record something, I can, but I ain't got the space for it. But as long as I get a different interface, yes, I can do that with that particular gear and then record. I may record, talk about different things. I might talk about what's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, look what's happening right now. So my recording, it's a little different. I got to see how that's going to work. You know what I mean? And that's just how I'm going to look at it. I got to see if that even mattered. So, yeah, we're going for an hour today. It's pretty telling. I just got done playing I think Far Cry, and now this avatar comes from the game called Outriders. They've been around. They remodeled the game since later on. They added some pieces to the game, but I would say like 2021. And I think that's just the thing about it. They got all types of DLC and stuff like that. It's a good game. It's a third person. What they call it, looter shooter. It's actually a good game. But if you have 4 classes that deal with, um, and that's just like what it is. But and what I like about this game, you have different types of class tiers and 4 classes that have different skills. I think this game is about role playing as characters. They're not heroes. They could be villains. They could be both. Depends on the story you choose and the path you choose. I think this game is very underrated. I do not see Diablo and Destiny. That's what people try to compare it. I don't see those games. Those games are trash, to be honest with you. I played Witcher 3 and all the other role playing games a lot better than this. Than this, but Outriders is better than both of them too. But Outriders is unique. You can mod, build. This game is about mods, combination of guns, and you name it, and skill. Now, the class that if you want to play by yourself, a little difficulty, a little balance, is Technomancer in the green. That's the best one, and I'm sorry, and it will always be the best one. Me personally, I like it more than any other skills and you see, and that's the truth. What I love about it. So when you do that, it's cohesiveness. You just got to understand what your character is in all times. Now, there's another one called Rhymes with Mansa. It's called Pyromancer. That's the Infernal build. That is probably the most exciting build if you do it right. The best tree, the skill tree to go for with that, what you're seeing right here is the Eruption. That's the Tempest explosive build. And I promise you, that's the best survival one you can survive by yourself. But the middle tree, like Firestorm and Ashbreaker, you already know they're all right for co-op. Same with the Technomancer. It has Tech Shaman, like I got right now in the background playing with this female character, and it's pretty good too. But I still prefer Demolisher on the bottom. But the top tree, they call it Pestilence. But if you get the game, you understand what I'm talking about. But the third best one out of all is Devastator, the gold. And the reason I say that it's better than most, because I don't see any other skills that compete with defense like that that's well balanced, like a tank class. And I just say Devastator is it. That's the closest thing you're gonna get. And I think that's just bottom line. I don't know. But what I love about it, it's up there. But the offensive and balanced class like Technomance and the green and red is better. I just don't believe in any other class that can stop it. It's not even close at this point. And then you see, but now the last one, but not least, it's called the stiffing class, was what they call Trickster. Trickster is pretty good. And if you like teleportation, speed, and control, that's a class for you. If you like tricks and shit and speed and a little defense, that's Trickster. They got the coolest legendary gears after you beat the game and stuff, and you play expeditions. All of them are very similar. They all had the expeditions like from the game. But if you get the DLC like World Slave, you know what I'm talking about. It's a great game to lose time in. Get another game like if you have an Xbox or PlayStation, you will know that you can use this game as a time waster and get a game that you want to complete or whatever. Just to if you get tired, you play this game in between. Well, what you want to do is play your characters that you got. Like I recommend 5 characters as the max. 6 is the max, but 5 is the best one you want. And the reason why I say 5 is better than 4 is you'll learn every skill. And if you like one class in particular, you can have 2 of them at the same time. Then you create the other classes you want to get for your achievements, whatever. But me personally, I got 6 characters and they turn out great for me. It's just something about having more characters to play with, understand what skills they are. I say play to your strengths, and you'll see why. And I'm just saying, just play to your strengths, and I promise you, you won't regret it. It's just one of those things that you just got to get used to. I understand that people like a certain way and certain motions and all that, but this right here, man, I don't know. I understand the motions of the game and all that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But we're gonna tweak some things. But shouts out to the people that made it. They the ones that made Bulletstorm. That's who made this game, and you get to see a lot. Yeah. But Far Cry 6 to me is mediocre. But I haven't complete the whole game yet. I just recently played. That's a fun game to play. I think it's based in Cuba, Costa Rica, one of that. It's got reggaeton in it. I thought it was an interesting game. But what I learned about the game is they have tanks on that game. So I still got New Dawn as my favorite. It's a whole nother story on that. I'm not gonna get into what's what. But man, this is incredible when you think about the stories and shit like that. These games that I played the past time, it's pretty cool. But these playoffs, man, it's a whole nother story. All right. 47 minutes to 24 seconds. Yes, we're still going. We're still going. I got to step away real quick. I'll be right back. I'm going on mute. All right. All right. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. So, yeah, it's a lot going on. But, the biggest thing that I've learned that what you have going on right now, in sports, it's typical, this is a new thing. I think they said it's been parody for the last 7 years. That's what they were saying, right? And I was listening to FS1 Colin Cowherd. I listen to him a lot more than ESPN. And it's the league kind of wants a little balance like that. And I mean, surprised where internet TV has got rid of regular TV. Ratings do not mean shit. If you don't support your team, no matter what market it is, stars are gonna go there. Just because you're in a big market don't mean you're the best. Let me tell you something. A lot of big market teams don't win championships. The only ones I say that always win championships in big market, me personally, is the Celtics. And they're not the consistent in this century. Now the Lakers, they had it because they had Kobe and Shaq, but the Lakers wasn't shit in the '90s. To be honest with you, the Lakers were probably their best was in the '80s, but the '90s, this is where they had a drop off. See, them and the Celtics, they didn't have guys then. They had talent. Don't get me wrong, they had some extremely talent that was up and up, but they wasn't contenders to no championship. See, when ESPN got super big, somewhere around when I got a little older in my teen years in the 2000s and the 21st century, that's when you start hearing Kobe and Shaq a lot. But they were struggling in the late '90s because Mike stranglehold the league way too long. They still talk about Michael Jordan. I said something to my father. I said he's more like Hank Aaron in a sense than in comparison, because he's talked about a lot. Yeah, you had your Babe Ruths, like your Chamberlains and Russells. That's how I view the Celtics and the Yankees. They have the similar fan base, but the difference between them two, yeah, they're in two different cities, but they have a similar fan base. Now, I do see some Celtic hats in battle rap, and I was curious why they wear it, but I know why. They must be a fan of that team. You name it. Paul Pierce made them look cool. Prior to Paul Pierce, they were just abysmal in the '90s. I remember them preseason. I think what 99, 2000 when Carmelo was Carmelo and Stockton was Stockton. And when I saw Anton Walker and I believe Paul Pierce, this is in the city where I come from in Tennessee, a small town, they was playing, and they had a decent roster. They had Kenny Anderson at the time. And I'm not a Celtics guy, but I had my own Celtic pride. They had a movie called Celtic Pride, if you watch it. I had my very own in the preseason game, which is crazy. In '99, right? We were talking about the beginning of '99 and the early 2000, but you know, and that's just it. Sorry, my dog in the background. I had to tell her shut up. But it is what it is. But that's the whole point. But it's just one of those things that I look at. But things are different now. But when I look at these champions, like yeah, you had the Lakers and Spurs dominated. Can I get that on the list? Hold on. I might have to save that. Hold on. I might have to I might have to where can I find that at? Okay, I gotta look at my page for a minute. I gotta look at my page. This is gonna be interesting. View your channel. Dun, 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 dun. Post. I gotta find my post in here, man. Shit. Your nigga is a scallop in this bitch. Yeah. Let me see something real quick. Oh no. Put this on here. Community post. Hold on. I want to show y'all something. Hold on. I'm gonna show y'all something. Okay. Post from me, right? Okay, the post is there here. Okay, from 1947 to 2024, that's the champions of currently. It is the Celtics. We don't know who's gonna be champions of this year. Okay, so the last I think weeks ago, and I said championships since the late 1940s. So the league was founded in 1946. It was an exhibition league called the NBL, and I think the champs at that time were the Kings. They were known as the Rochester Royals. They was known as the Seagrams slash Royals. They were the Seagrams in the beginning in the 30s and 40s, but somewhere around in the 40s they got it like exhibition or whatever, because it's two leagues. I'll give you an example. The NBL is where the Kings come from, right? And the Hawks come from. The Hawks used to be known as what? The Buffalo Bisons, right? But the Kings were known as what? The Kings were known as what? the Seagram slash Royals history. If you research Sacramento Kings history in the wiki, you'll be like, oh man, yeah, sir was right. Yeah, I was right. I love that team ever since. I used to read about them. They had some great players then. I'll say in the '60s, like Oscar Robertson and all that, but I love their whole culture. You know, that championship culture is interesting. They won one in '51. That's the first championship when the league already merged, but it's actually their second championship, believe it or not. So yeah, but according to the association, if you want to call it the NBA, merged into the NBA. Before it was called, see, you had two leagues. You had the BAA, that's the Warriors and the large market teams or something like that, the Lakers and Celtics, right? The Hawks and the Kings and all these small market teams come from NBL. They were very small. So they merged in 49, I believe, when the Lakers won their championship. Somewhat of a dynasty. So yeah, they had 2 years. They lost one in 51 uh, because they played the Knicks in the NBA Finals in 1951. They were known as the Rochester Royals in Westchester, West Side of New York. So this was a New York team before it became Sacramento back in '85. So this is the Royals originally. The Baltimore Bullets in this 1948 is a different Baltimore Bullets. They folded that same year, and I think they never came in. They folded. So the one in 1947 was the Warriors. They were the Philadelphia Warriors with Joe Folks. That's how it started. That's the thing. So 49, you had George Mikan, 1950 back to back. Frank Saul like Paul, right? Saul, Saul. Frank Saul won this championship for him. He was Finals MVP for this team. Then rest of it was Mike and up to three straight championships. The Lakers won 1952, 1953, 54. That's what everybody knows. Now, 1955, like I said, what's the 76ers right doing? They used to be known as the Syracuse Nationals. They used to be part, I don't know if they was part of the association or the NBL team. They were a large market team at the time. And they was based off in Syracuse, up northern New York, right? I believe upstate New York, Syracuse. So if y'all remember the Syracuse National, Dolph Shades won them that championship in 1955 that year. Hell of a hardcore team. Then they moved later on. But in 1956, Paul Arizin, right? 1956, that's when Paul Arizin won their second title, and they were known as the Philadelphia Warriors. But that very next year, they got Bill Russell. This coming up the 56th year, according to his time, he was drafted by the Celtics in the second pick. And the reason he was drafted by the St. Louis Hawks, but traded to the Celtics, I believe. Yeah, something like that. And then I believe he would have been with Bob Pettit or whatever, but Celtics stopped that and got him. And that's the rest was history. And then yes, Bob Pettit won in 1958. They're known as the Atlanta Hawks right now. That's the last time they won a championship. It was in St. Louis Hawks at the time. They was in the Western Division. They was in St. Louis, and then they moved to Atlanta years later. Great times, right? But the Celtics dynasty started from 1959 when they swept the Lakers all the way through 1960 to 1966. I repeat, the Celtics dynasty started in 1959 through 1966. So it took two back-to-backs, a three-peat in 1961, a four-peat in 1962, five-peat, six-peat, seven-peat, eight-peat. They eight-peated 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So this is beyond a super team. This is a dynastic team, just like the Lakers. Yes, they went back to back. Yes, they three-peated in the 50s, right? So dynastic team, not a super team, but dynastic team. Celtics, dynastic team. They wasn't really a super team if you think about it. Now, the Knicks did win. We're going to get to them in a minute. So the years of Bill Russell dominance from 1959, from the 60s to 66, this is when Chamberlain was dominant with the Warriors, right? So the Celtics won all those championships in the 60s, 1959, all the way through 1966. So 1965, Boston Celtics, 1964, Boston Celtics, 1963, Boston Celtics when Kennedy assassination, 1962, Boston Celtics, 1961, Boston Celtics, 1960, Boston Celtics, 1959, Boston Celtics. And yes, 1958, you had the St. Louis Hawks. 1957, Boston Celtics, their first championship when Bill Russell was a rookie. Now, Wilt Chamberlain's first championship, they were known as what? The Philadelphia 76ers, 1967. It's a great team. And then Bill Russell won two back to backs of the last Celtic championship. They won back to back. So they had back to back before. The last back to back was 1968, 1969. These are 11 championships at the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 championships by Bill Russell. So rest of his championships were 8 peats his rookie year. And the last of his career, he won two back to back. So the Knicks started 1970. Great team by Willis Reed and Walt Frazier, right? Lou Alcindor, known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, won in 1971 when he was a young rising star. And Chamberlain won his second championship with the Lakers in 1972. What a great year. What a great year. So, oh, it's an hour. Yeah. It's an hour and such. So, yeah, I'm just showing you the numbers. And this is incredible. But 1973, that's the last time the Knicks won a championship. We just talked about the Knicks early in the stream. The Knicks in 1973, good team. Saw some highlights as a kid. I actually saw the games of it in NBA TV when I was real young. That's a hell of a team at the time. And ever since then, they ain't won since. So the Celtics did win 1974. That would be their 12th championship. That's with Dave Cowles and them. In 1975, the last time the Warriors won a championship was with Rick Barry. Good team. Different team. They were known as the Golden State Warriors in 1975. A lot of people try to say San Francisco. No, they won in Golden State in 1975. They still call the Golden State Warriors to this day. They won in Oakland. 1976, Boston. Dave Cowles again. So they won two championships in that era, and the Lakers won it one. The Knicks won two in that era. It was New York and Boston ruled the 70s. So yes, New York ruled 1970 and 1973, but Boston ruled 74, 76. Now 76, they faced against Paul Westphal and the Phoenix Suns. Yeah. Read about that, seen highlights of that, seen the whole game. Saw some on here, some as a kid when they had it on NBA TV, and I saw it. But that 1977 championship when the Blazers won with Bill Walton, rare. That's the last time the Blazers won a championship. Now, this next team, which you known as the Wizards today, they were originally known as let's look them up. I'm gonna give you a history lesson about them. Washington Wizards, right? Because we got time today. Oh, we got time today. I'm getting in my bag today. The Wizards. A lot of said worst in the world. Yeah, they used to be known as the Bullets. I remember when they were the Bullets. But I knew this history since I was a child too. When I had NBA Live, and that's where I got it from. And then when I read the library books, yes, they were known as the Chicago Packers. Okay. Washington Bullets redirect here. The Baltimore Bullets, 1944 to 1954. That's the ABL, BAA, NBA team. So the Baltimore Bullets of the 1944 to 1954 team was around the what? ABL League 1946 when it was known, when the league was founded. And their colors was red and gold and blue. And then, the third color was their alternate. So, yes, they were the Bullets, but they were also known as a BAA association team back in what? 1948. There was a BAA NBA association at the time, but ABL, the exhibition, they did win two championships. They won one in 46 in the ABL. So, what you call the NBL, now the NBL is a National Basketball League, was by the Rochester Royals. They did one in 1946 as a NBL champion, according to that time. Because the league in basketball was founded in 1946. There's many pro leagues at the time. You do have ABL. That's this team too. And their second championship was when it was merged with the NBA. I think it was 1948, 49, something like that. That was the 1948. So you see it on the list above right here. This is what I'm talking about right here. This is the original Baltimore Bullets. And they folded. They didn't last long. They actually folded. They didn't last long. Their history is very short. Don't get it confused with the Wizards. So 1954, that was a rough stint, and they folded. That was it. The coach they had was Ben Kramer, Red Rosen, Buddy Giannetti, Walter Budko, Freddie Scolari, Chick Reiser, Claire B, and Albert Bathering, or something like that. And the players they known as Buddy Genetti or something like that. Yeah. Interesting times back then. That's when basketball was basketball violent. You know what it was. Let's get to the Wizards issue. Don't get confused. Now, this team came in what? The Eastern Division, right? Eastern Conference, known as Southeast Division now, the new adding of New Orleans and whatever and other teams. Okay. This the team we're talking about that won 1978. It was known as the Washington Bullets, but also known as the Chicago Packers in 1961. They were founded as the Chicago Packers in 1961, but they changed the name to Zephyrs in 62. And that lasted to the next year, the 63, but they moved to Baltimore Bullets in that summer. They were the Baltimore Bullets in 1963 until 1973. They were the Baltimore Bullets in the 60s, lasted until 1973. They was known as the Capitol Bullets at the time. Capitol Bullets, that means DC Bullets, Capitol Bullets. And from 73 to 1974, they was known as the Capitol Bullets or DC Bullets at the time, right? They was known as the Washington Bullets from 1974 to 1997. They changed. They were the team since in 97. I was 9, right? I'll never forget they were the Bullets. Now I'm older. You know, I'm 30 plus, right? From 1997, they used to be known as the Washington Wizards when they changed it to 98 season. I'll never forget they was known as the Wizards ever since then. They had known as the Wizards since then. So yes, it's a DC team. Yes, they came in the NBA. Yes, they got the colors and everything. Um, the Wizards is typical. Walt Bellamy was a guy, Chicago Packers, 1961. Then the history of Wes Unseld. Yeah, they won the championship in 1978. So that's a little history lesson for y'all. The Wizards, in case y'all don't know. The ones that don't know, the ones that know that's new to this channel, I'm just giving you a little piece of history right there. I'm just showing you this because that's all I was thinking on my mind lately. And I posted this 2 weeks ago. So yeah, the Washington Wizards were known as the Bullets back then in 1978. Now, 1979, this is Seattle Supersonics, right? But they moved to OKC somewhere around the late mid 2000s of the 21st century. So we already know about the OKC. They were known as Seattle when they won it with those guys, with Jack Sigma and you name it. And then here comes the 80s, 1980, Magic, his first championship, 1980. From 1980 and on, this will be like how many championships at that time? So they got 2, they have 5 in the 50s, 1 in the 40s. So that's and that equals 5 championships total. So they won 1 in 1949, but they won 1950 from 1952, 53, 54. That's extra rings. So that's like 4 in the 50s, 1 in 49, that equals 5 championships. Then the last one, they had 6 championships when Wilt Chamberlain came, 72. So they finally won one. This is the 7th championship. Their 7th championship started with Magic in 1980, the Lakers, right? The Celtics won their, okay, how many championships they had? They had 11 with Bill Russell, 13 championships already. They already have 14 championships by this time, 1981. That's with Larry Bird, right? The rival, right? Then 1982 came around. Lakers won what? Their 8th championship. Now, the 1983 Philadelphia 76ers, the one I call a super team that had all first NBAers, right? All first NBA players, I should say a 6 man of the year, MVPs, you name it. And they never repeated the after the following years. That's the only time the team that's traditionally as statistically player wise, if you read up and research, and shouts out to the dude that was on YouTube, it broke it down. They are a super team, according to him, which he's right. They have all those accolades on the side, but they don't mention that in conversations. But this was a super team. The last super team that was a complete team that had all first NBAers and a 6 man of the year, I forget his name, played for the Sixers in 83. That's the only championship they had. That's the last championship they got since 83. So it's been almost 40 plus years. 42 years ago. They ain't won a championship since 42 years ago. Now, 1984, This will be their 15th championship with Larry Bird. So he's put a stop to that. Celtics got that. So basically, they had 13 championships in the 70s, right? They have two championships. It's 12 and it's 13. And this is their 14th championship. Then they won 15 championships in 1984. Now the Lakers just won 8, right? They had 6. Well, one championship in the 70s. That's their 6th championship. And they have 4 in the 50s and they had 1 in 49. So that's 5 and now 6 championships. Now 7. And this is their 8th championship in 1982. So their 9th championship was in 1985, and they got their revenge against the Celtics. 1986, their 16th championship, they beat the young Houston Rockets, and I believe they swept them with Elijah One. I believe that was a sweep. And that's how they won 1986. That's the last championship they had. The Celtics ain't won a championship since 86. The 80s, Lakers took over. They defeated the Celtics in 87. But 1988, this is where the Pistons should have won. Me personally, if Isaiah didn't hurt his ankle, they could have beat the Lakers. So this is their okay. The Lakers had what? They already had 6 already in 72. They already had 4 in the 50s, 1 in 49. That's 5, and there's 6, 7, 8. Ninth championship was 1985. Their 10th championship was 1987. 1988 was their 11th championship. If they would have won that, they would have had 10 championships. But they ended up getting what? 11. So at the time growing up, and this is the year I was born, from Celtics had 16. 11 of them came from Bill Russell. The 2 came from Dave Cowens. Chamberlain gave y'all 6 championships, and then Magic gave y'all what? 5 championships. And that equals 11 at the time. And then when I was like 1 and on down, 1989, the Pistons won their first championship, and then they won back-to-back 1990. So we already know they beat the Lakers and swept them. And bam, they beat the Trailblazers right here. And the last time Trailblazers was in the finals was 1990. That was it. But then the Bulls years, I say from 3 all the way down to 10 years old, Chicago Bulls, incredible. Incredible. I remember 1991, that shot against Magic, the layup. I remember 92 when he beat the Blazers just a little bit, but I did see replays on when I got older, and they beat the brakes off of them in the series. Jordan was something else. 1993, probably the worst team in Bulls history with the low record, 50. It's a great record, but it was one of their worst teams. Their best teams, we're going to get to in a minute. You already know what we're talking about. The 60-win teams was 91 and 92. They were pretty impressive. But that last one, they thought they was through. Michael had that concert with his father and the gambling. I'm not going to get into that. I have 2 sides of that story. That's a whole nother story on that. And that's when Michael was successful at the time. He was at the peak. And then when he left that year, that's when Houston got in. That's when they beat the Knicks. The Rockets, one of my favorite Western Conference teams, one of my favorites. They had Elijah and everything. They beat the Knicks in 7 games. Knicks could have had it. That was the years New York should have had it. But it was Houston. They were the best team at the time in the West. There was no Lakers, you name it. In 1995, they were the 6th seed. They swept the Orlando Magic. And it should have been Orlando, but Orlando didn't deserve the win. It was really Houston. They had the experience, and they was going back-to-back. But that next year, when they added Dennis Rodman, I'll never forget, from 96 through 98, it was over. I knew this was going to three-peat. So once they had Michael Jordan, he had that one. They beat the Supersonics, I believe. And I did see the Karl Malone series with Utah. These were the best years. 97, he came again, beat them, and then it was going to be Utah again in 98. And that was the last time you saw Jordan. I did see the 99 championship with the Spurs. I'm a Spurs guy. Spurs should have won these 2 years, probably 95, but it didn't matter. So they did beat the Knicks as the 8-seeded team. It was a lockout year. This is the lockout year when they won. So the next year, when it was not a lockout, the Lakers were the favorites. The Spurs got knocked out by, I believe, the Suns that next year. And the Lakers went on, dominated the first 3. So this is the 11. This is their 12th championship when they had Shaq. That's their 12th championship. And then they got their 13th championship with Kobe 2001. And Allen Iverson got a game on, beat them in game 1. 2002, I'll never forget that with the Kings. And a lot of people think they got robbed from them, but they played against the I think they played against the Pacers in 2000. 2001, they played against Allen Iverson and the Sixers, and they played against the Nets, New Jersey Nets. And that's known as Brooklyn Nets now. But boom, there you go. 2003. Never forget that year. They it was a good team. Spurs. I forget who they played in the finals against. Who they play? 2003. Was it the Nets or it was somebody? I have to look it up. Hold on, because it's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. NBA Finals 2003. I was 15 at this time. They played against the Nets. They played against the Nets. Yeah, they beat the New Jersey Nets. They beat the New Jersey Nets. Yeah, it was the Nets. It was the Nets. It was the Nets. Thought so. It's the Nets. And I'm going 15 minutes. I'm going to end it real soon. But yeah, this is all I got. But yeah, they beat the Nets that year, and then the Pistons won that year. And then Rick Carlisle took them to the conference the year before, and then they gave it to Larry Brown as a coach the next following year, and that's when they won that championship. That's how they got Rasheed Wallace in that piece right there. But the next year, what Rasheed said best, the League of Nations, San Antonio, they won a year before that. I'm not surprised they won 2005. They should have went back to back in 06, me personally. But they beat the Pistons, the defending champs. But the next year, um, the Miami Heat faced the Dallas Mavericks in 2006. That's the year that Dallas should have won in 2006. But Miami was a better team. They had Shaq, and that was the difference. They didn't want to pay him back then. And Miami was fortunate to get that. Now, 2007 was very interesting. This is when they faced the Cleveland Cavaliers. Swept them with LeBron James. That was it. And that's a whole nother story on that. And then, yes, they beat the Lakers in 08. I'll never forget that. That will be the 17th championship. So 12, 13, 14 championships in 2002. The last time Kobe went back, he gave them 15 championships in 2009. And then he got back to back 2010 when they beat the Magic. They beat the Celtics. I think they beat the Celtics 2010, and they beat the Orlando Magic 2009. 2009, they beat the Magic. They gave them okay series, and they beat the Celtics in 2012. I mean, not 2012, 2010. Excuse me, 2010. So 2010, they beat the Celtics, and they beat the Magic in 09. So that would be okay, this is 14, 15, 16 championships at the time. We'll get to the bubble ring in a minute. So I got this from Reddit, from a message from a family member. So in case y'all want to know the source. But 2011, you already know. Dallas, when LeBron struggled, they beat Miami. Now they did the last time OKC went to a finals, which you known as OKC Thunder, was 2012 with Kevin Durant. They lost. They beat the Spurs in 2013. That was Miami. They won back to back. That was with LeBron, the Miami Heat championships. And then 20, this is his era at this time. 2014, Tim Duncan. The Spurs got their 5th championship. They already won one title. Their second title was 2003. And then you know how, of course, and that's their 5th championship. They ain't won since 2014. The Spurs haven't won a championship since 2014. That's a long time. That was in the LeBron era. Now, the 2015 should not have been the Warriors. Now, Steph Curry changed that. He changed that. So he's got one. That's their 4th championship in team history. They already had 3. Their 5th championship was that super team. And then their 6th championship is what? 2018. That they went back to back. Cleveland, their very first title in team history. Emotional. Believeland, this is for you. I'm going to stop fucking with you. And this is where it all ended. Toronto ended it in 2019 with Kawhi Leonard. And Siakam, like I said, that's the only championship he got is 2019. I'll never forget that. And then Raps, that was their first championship, similar to Cleveland. So Lakers won a 17 championship. They called the bubble ring. You know how that goes. And that's a new era now. This is the era now. So you got the Lakers won during the pandemic. Giannis won it during the pandemic era when they won, similar to 1971. That's their last championship. Right here with Lou Alcindor right here. And we got to go back down where it goes. But the Warriors, their 4th championship in this era, even though that equals 7 championships, by the way. So they got 3 and they got 4 championships in this era. So they won 3, 1 in the 40s, 1 in the 50s, and in the 70s, like 75, 56, and 47 was their earlier championships. Then the last 4 was 2015, 2 back-to-back 17 and 18, and now in this era of the 20s, 2022. when he had Jordan Poole. That's it. But the Nuggets lucked out in their very first championship, similar to Toronto and Cleveland. Boom, they got one championship. Then Boston got their 18th championship. You know how that playoffs are. We don't know who's going to be champion right here, 2025. So that's it for today. And you see all the champions, you see all the things that's going on, and that's it. That's all I want to discuss. Hope these playoff series are going to be interesting. The finals, it looks like it's going to be OKC Thunder and the Pacers, or if it extends, we'll see. So with that, until next time, shalom to the people of Israel. Until next time,